you guys can. But we've already sold the last night, which is pretty fun. So I'm so excited for next week. We've been cranking like crazy over here. We got a bunch of cool stuff we're giving you guys. Got these cool new brand new jackets for our Black Card members that we're gonna be dishing out at Fun Launch Live as well. So it should be pretty fun. So welcome in, you guys. Say hello in the chat. We're gonna be bringing on live just a second. Orin Claf. So Orin Claf will be our very first speaker. Orin Claf is one of the best capital raisers on planet Earth. He'll be hopping on live with us in just a few minutes. We're going to be talking all about raising capital with him. We then have two more speakers after that. They're going to be coming on. We'll be doing Q&A with them. So if we're live here, stay on for a few minutes. You guys can drop in the chat, say hello to everybody as they hop on. So welcome in. What's up, y'all? What's up? Say hello. If you can for me, by the way, in the chat, type in if you have been to Fun Launch Live in the past. So if you have been to one of them, type a 1. If you've been to both of them, type a 2. And if you're planning to come to all, you're going to be 3, type in a 3. So that'd be like, you'd be 3 for 3 if you're coming next week. So give me a 1, 2, 3, or type in a 0. Or actually give me a 1 if you're coming next week. How about that? A 0 is you haven't come and you don't plan to come. So sad news for you if you put a 0 in. But I'm curious how many of you guys have come to Fun Launch Lives in the past. Last year, Fun Launch Live was phenomenal. We had Ed Milet, we had my dad, we had Jim Rogers, one of the original fund managers of all time, one of the first people to even consider or launch a hedge fund. He actually was on stage. We interviewed him, and he was sharing the story. He said, he goes, every hedge fund manager in the world we could fit in a small coffee shop. There was about 10 of us. We all were in New York. It was when hedge funds were first invented, and he was actually partners with George Soros on the Soros Management Company, and they started the first hedge fund in that asset class. It was this whole new concept where you could be long and short in hedge markets and diversify your risk through hedging with a hedge fund. And here they were. And so Jim Rogers came last year, talked all about life and family, his travels around the world, running funds, the markets. He actually, he's relatively aged human, did an incredible job last year on stage. Next week, we are upping the ante like crazy. So we just got back our stage design for Fun Launch Live. It is so cool. So I might share it with you in a minute. The stage we built out, we spent a lot of money on AV, stage design, that kind of stuff to make sure it feels kind of like a rock concert when you show up. Lights, like stage, it's pretty fun. Day one, just so you're aware, at the event, we're going to be all in on structuring your fund. This event, by the way, over 3 days is designed with, sorry, which camera should I look at? I'm looking at this one. I should look here. Okay. Sorry. I keep mixing up. I'm going to go here. Day one is all around designing and structuring your fund. So putting together the actual pieces and the way we put together this event, this is not an event to hype you up. There's not an event to give you a bunch of fluff that's not real that you won't take home. This event is designed that you'll show up and we'll actually give you real world nuggets, stuff that you can actually take and use like the day you learn it. If you're going to spend good money, buy a ticket, come out to an event, you better have, some really great tangible take-home nuggets. So every single speaker, you're going to hear from a few of them in just a few minutes, is going to talk specifically on a certain topic. And I've talked to all of them beforehand, and we brief them on the specific nugget or takeaway that they are going to give to the audience. Now, the whole 3 days is designed to what I call our mega framework. So I've put together a huge framework on launching your fund. And what we're going to do over the 3 days is walk you through the process of designing, framing, testing, launching, and then scaling your fund. That's the design over the 3 days. And each speaker will dovetail into the next speaker. So every speaker that comes up, it's going to just be hopefully this orchestrated, symphony of speakers that are dovetailing one to the next that are all working together to help each other out. That's the idea of Fun Launch Live. And I've been to a few events like this. What happens when you do this? And it takes way more work. As the event thrower, it's easy to say, oh yeah, let's just have a little panel. You guys talk about whatever topics. It's very easy to throw an event that way. It's hard to lean in during an event and say, we are going to organize every single piece of every second on stage to make sure it's optimized so that you feel like you got everything plus 10 times more that you wanted to when coming to this event, that we over deliver like crazy. That's the idea for Fun Launch Live. So, we're going all out and I'm excited for you guys to come. We are about to be sold out with tickets, which is so cool. We've sold out last 2 years. We're about to sell out this year, which is so fun. So with that, funlaunchlive.com is where you go. We have Orin Claf coming on in just a few minutes. So he's going to be coming backstage. If you guys have not come yet to the event, what we're going to do actually, can you share my screen? Let's do that for a second. Let's make sure it's not flipped this time. I think we got those settings good. So yeah, share my screen. Go ahead. This is the event page. Here we are, funlaunchlive.com. So you can see here, we are, wow, look at this, 98.6% sold out. So our team is updating this all the time. We are about to be sold out here. Here's our event video. We'll share that in a second. And we are 9 days out from Fun Launch Live. Actually, what I'm going to do, let's see if this works. I'm going to share this video. Let's see if this works. Let me know if you guys can hear it. Yeah, no sound on that. Can we try again? Should I keep going? Nothing yet. We have sound pipe through. Any luck over there? Let me try this. Maybe stop sharing my screen for a sec. Okay. Let me try one more. This will work for sure. Let me go in here. Luke had sound. What? All right, let's see if this works. Here we go.
Recording in progress.
All right, here we go. Thanks for working with me. Here we go. All right, this should work now. Boom. Let's do this. All right, I'm going to refresh this page.
You were tough. You weren't the smartest. You weren't the best. But man, you couldn't stay down. You kept getting up.
I went from 30 companies to over 80 companies. We exited that fund at $1.27 billion.
Don't try to predict the future. Try to run probabilities. The path has been laid before you, and now the decision is on you.
You gotta start thinking bigger. You get a little momentum in your life when you start competing, and all of a sudden, momentum makes average, ordinary people superhuman.
All right. There's the video. Let's go. I'm very excited for next week. So it's a lot of work. Like I said before, we do a lot of planning and prep to make it an impactful experience. I'll share one quick story, and then we have 3 fund managers coming on live in just a few minutes. So once they're ready, by the way, people backstage, my team, just let me know when they're ready, and we'll bring them on live. So whenever they get in here. So here we are. We're back to full screen. So the one person that came last year, so his name was Tom. And he came last year to the event. So Tom had done a number of, and actually we had him live last week, but his story was incredible. He came to the event. He had done some syndication in the past in the venture capital space. So he likes investing into startups. He had done some syndications, actually done extremely well. And he came to the event last year, sat in the crowd. He was so excited. We're friends back home. And he was like, this is so cool. He loved the stuff we were doing. He actually brought his partner and his intern. Okay. So they came out as well. They fly home. He's texting me like, yo, that was so fun. I'm like, great. That was awesome. He loved it. He joined. He's now in our program and group. He's like working with us. In June, one of his interns identifies a company. They actually syndicate and start setting up their fund from the event. Like at the event, they caught the vision of what a fund could be. And not just him. He's like, I want to do a fund, but my partner and intern, we want to get everyone on the same board. So him and his partner decide like, we're doing a fund. So that they join the program. They get in, like they're working with us. June, they identify a company, they invest in that company. Then by, let's see, September, October, they're framing out their fund. They build their fund, they launch. By December, they've raised, I think at the time they'd raised $2 to $3 million, like confirmed, like hard commitments. End of December, January, Fund Launch Partners, our group, we actually write a check with them. So we actually partner with them, gave them a check, and now we're on their board and their team. They've now, I think, raised something like 6.8 million. Firm committed, and they're already calling capital and deploying capital. And we actually invited him to come speak at this year's Fund Launch Live, all within 12 months. From a year ago, he came. He's like, I don't know if I want to do a fund. He came. He's caught the vision of what a fund could be. We gave him the tools and resources in front of him. He then went. They identified a company, and by the way, that company that had his intern identified in June. They believe he sent me a text like that company on paper has already done a 50x. They have a new evaluation. They're hopefully going to be exiting in July at a 50x of what they invested into in 1 year. Like this crazy unicorn investment that they just got into. And looking back at where he came from in 1 year is insane. That's the hope and dream we have from Fund Launch Live of what we want people like you to have. So in just a few minutes, we're going to bring on, we got Orin Claf coming up first. So whenever Orin's ready, let me know. We'll bring him on live. And then we'll roll from there. We got Orin and 2 other fund managers coming on live today to talk to you guys about capital raising, what they're doing, what they're going to speak on at Fund Launch Live, all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was pretty significant though, story from Tom. And I'll tell you a different story from year 1 to year 2. So year 1, and actually this is pre-year 1 with Fund Launch. So we started this and talk about, I'll frame this. A lot of us have something that pulls us back. When you want to go play something, do something big like a fund, there's things in life that pull you back, whether it's your spouse, whether it's a cousin, whether it's a friend, whether it's just your mentality. Like it's hard for most people to play big, to put themselves out there, to go after something because it's scary. There's fear. I had the same thing with Fund Launch. And I remember putting myself out there, like maybe if we started making videos online and doing this, like it would help somebody out there. I'll tell you a quick story of a guy named David. So David, he was a pharmacist, started to watch our content. At the same time, he started to learn how to trade. So while he was working in the pharmacy, it was kind of slow, it was long hours, and not many people, he worked at like the local Smiths or local Walgreens, and not a lot of people came in. So he would learn how to trade. So he learned how to literally day trade in the back of this pharmacy. And he started practicing, did back testing, paper trading. Then he started trading real money, his own money, did very well. And then get this, he joined our stuff. We started to learn about a fund. He said, and his actually performance was phenomenal. He had backdated his portfolio. He said, I think I can scale this. But he goes, I don't want to do it the wrong way. If I'm going to take, his family and friends were like asking to give him money. And he said, I don't want to do it. And I told him, don't take the money. Make sure it's structured the right way. If you're going to get in this game, you need to make sure that this is done the right way. So we put it together. We structured things the right way. And then he went out and launched his fund. His fund took off. They raised over $10 million in their first, I can't remember the exact period, but their first period of raising money. 2 years ago, they had multi-double-digit returns. I mean, they crushed it for their investors. Last year, they did extremely well. And he actually spoke on stage last year. David Yao is his name, told his whole story. And he comes on stage, and what I loved about anybody here last year, give David a shout out in the chat. David Yao did a phenomenal job last year. If you can give him a little ooh-rah or something in the chat, he's phenomenal. And just told his story. And the best thing I love about David was he gets on stage. He's like, I'm no one special. I'm not something fancy, but I just learned this incredible vehicle. I applied myself and it turned out extremely well. He's now running an 8-figure hedge fund. And it was so cool to hear his story last year. So what I love about Fund Launch Live, I was at the Greenwich Economic Forum. There's the Milken Institute. These other finance events. Most of them, you show up and you listen to the talking heads that run $50 billion portfolios, which is great. There's a place for that. That's very interesting to hear and learn about. But sometimes it's like 30,000 foot level, or it's 100 steps in front of you, and you backdate to right now, and you go, well, what's the next step I need to take, like today, or tomorrow, or next week? And so what I love about Fund Launch Live, if we go back, I'm going to share my screen one more time here on, let's try this. Let's see how this works. Okay. So what I love about Fund Launch Live is if you look at this title right here, discover how 18 normal investors scaled portfolios to 10 million to 30 billion. So we bring in both. We bring in investors or people that are running $10 million funds or $30 billion funds. And what's cool about that is you get to hear from people that are way ahead and really high level and 30,000 foot level, or people that are just getting started and a few steps in front of you, to share what's actually working right now in 2024. What's working now to raise capital, find investors, to build out your thesis? What are they investing into at a small level? Does that make sense? And so what's massive about this, what we do at Fund Launch Live, that's why it's so unique. It's a one-of-a-kind event. There is no other event like this on earth. And that's why it's so special. Now, what's cool about this, I'll zoom in for a second. We are 98.6% sold out. You see that at the top right there. We are getting there right now. This event will probably sell out tonight or tomorrow. We are right down to the line. We've actually, so if you come on here, by the way, if you book rooms, our room block, we have actually already sold out the final day, which is the 20th. So, and we still have dates available for the 17th through the 20th, just not through the 21st. So if you guys want to come book a room, you can still do that, but they are about to be sold out as well. They're telling us, I think the 19th is just about sold out. The 18th is getting there. So if you guys come book a room, and by the way, what we're doing this year too, we are at a resort, the Hyatt Regency. What's fun about this, at being at a resort, it's more money for us to go to a resort. It's easier to go to convention center. The reason we go to a resort is because everyone can stay on site. We're all there in the same spot. So what happens is, before the event or after the event, everyone's there. You're at the bar down in the lobby. And this is, by the way, this is not like a hotel. This is like a freaking city. This is a huge resort. I mean, it is massive. But you see people at the pool. You see people at the downstairs restaurant. You get to meet people from the event. And there's way more networking that happens when you're in the vicinity of everybody else. So there's so much massive help being on site in person, if that makes sense. All right, we got Orin Claf coming on in just a second. So let me know when he's live and ready to go. We'll bring him on. But I wanted to give you a little run through of just everything that's happening at the event. Let me go back here. So again, the people that are speaking at this event, we've got, down here, we are 9 days away, which is pretty fun. So day 1, it's all about the fun core. Day 2, we're going to asset class deep dives. And day 3, raising and scaling is kind of the plan for the event. We're going to be going in depth for each one of them through there. We got Steve Eisman as our headliner. This is the guy from The Big Short, played by Steve Carell in The Big Short. We've got Orin Claf coming on in a few minutes. Orin Claf is, I'll talk up Orin Claf for a second. So author of Pitch Anything and Flip the Script. If you want to learn how to raise capital, his 2 books are the best books, I believe, on planet Earth at raising capital. They have taught me, and that's why I'm like, if people ask me about raising capital, I share a number of frameworks that I use, but I just say, go listen to Orin's books. Orin's phenomenal. You guys are hearing from him in just a few minutes. And he's coming to speak all about closing day 2 for investors, which is pretty fun. We got John Pennington, my dad, voted the best speaker last 2 years, which is pretty fun. So my dad's going to be talking about the world-changing order. So this is his book, Dollars, Gold, and Bitcoin. He's going to talk about the U.S. dollar, BRICS nations, stable coins, U.S. currency. I think you'll really, really like his conversation around this. It's not, by the way, it's not the dollar's dead, doomsday. He's actually very pro-dollar. The dollar is very strong, and he'll actually share why the U.S. empire is still moving. He'll talk about the fiscal debt. He's going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about the election this cycle. By the way, at this event, what's cool about in-person events is you can do stuff that you can't do online. If you talk about certain topics online, you will get canceled. But at an event, you can talk, like we can have a formal debate, and actually truly a debate around what's happening at the southern border. What's happening this year we have a Trump, Biden, and maybe Bobby Kennedy as a spoiler in the general election. How does that affect investing? That's what the frame. How does this affect your portfolio? We have half the people in the world having an election this year. A few billion people are having elections this year, and we're going to talk about that. We have Todd Buchholz as well, current economics professor at Harvard. We're going to talk about this as well. And same thing with Peter Zeihan, all talking macroeconomics, which is pretty phenomenal. What is going on in the world? Now, additionally, we have Cody Sanchez, all talking about buying small. If you're just starting out, buying vending machines, buying small businesses, how to buy laundromats, how to move and just start a small business portfolio to get moving. We got Benjamin Hardy coming to speak about 10x is easier than 2x. Neil Bawa talking. He's actually specifically going to talk about he has this incredible strategy, how to find investors off of social media sites and online marketing. And he's done, he runs a multi-hundred, actually $1 billion portfolio now of his multifamily portfolio. And most of his investors he got off of LinkedIn. And I know there's a lot of spam LinkedIn bots, but there's also very good actionable ways to use LinkedIn. He's going to give you his full strategy on how he uses LinkedIn and how they have raised over $1 billion in their portfolio, which is pretty fun. We have other people like Andrew Smith coming to talk. So Andrew Smith started a fund. His fund, get this, they would go find, those small local restaurants that are really good like that. There's like that one pizza joint or that one burger place or that one Mexican food place that's just phenomenal. And it's only one location. It's ran by a mom and pop. What their fund does, he now manages $750 million in the savory funds. They go find these brands and say, hey, do you guys want to scale? Let's partner with you. And instead of having 1 or 2 locations, let's have 30 or 50 or 100 locations. They've scaled brands like Viva 313. They've scaled Mobetta's, Swig. If you've seen some of these national brands that have popped out, they were the ones that found them when they were one place and then scale them. That's a cool fund. Of all funds to be in, that's a pretty cool fund to be a part of. I can keep going down. We've got Jeremiah Butcher. He's 350 million AUM for pretty much doing self-storage. This is just hard knocks, self-storage. He's done an incredible job with that. We have Kaloa Wolfgram coming back this year to talk again. And then you can go down. We have James Riggio, Vutran, Voss talked about his markup, which is pretty fun. So we got Vina Jetty, how they've raised $350 million out of their portfolio. She's talking all around capital raising, what she's done at a relatively young age, done an incredible job at raising capital. James Fishback coming to speak. He actually was on Vivek Ramaswamy's campaign. He's launching $100 million macro hedge fund. They've already raised $50 million. Hopefully will be to $100 million maybe by the conference time. They're raising at a sharp clip right now. Very sharp person. Wall Street backed, has done an incredible job. And pretty fun. All right. So there's Fund Launch Live, which is pretty cool. So I can talk for a few more minutes. We have Orin Claf. I thought he was going to be on by now. So actually, let me talk about this for a second. Well, I think Orin's getting prepped in the backstage. Let's make sure he's coming. I want to talk about actually something kind of interesting on this topic right here, the world changing order. So I gave a speech last week, and I kind of want to summarize a couple of things here. So what is happening right now in the world is very interesting. How do we make sense of the Keystone Pipeline being shut off by President Biden? You remember that when President Biden shut off the Keystone Pipeline? That was pretty interesting. Like, why would he do that? We have China right now considering getting off the US dollar. India considering getting off the US dollar. They're actually wanting to. Saudi Arabia is considering why they should or shouldn't get off of the US dollar. And how do we make sense of these things? We have the Ukraine war, the Israel war now. The US is pumping dollars into this thing. Now, what I want to frame this next few minutes around is a lot of us watch the TV. We watch President Biden or Jerome Powell, and we go, man, these guys are idiots. We watch Trump. Man, what idiots. How are these idiots running the country? Anybody else said that before? How are these idiots doing this? And so people in the chat, like, that's me. Okay, give me a yes if that's me. So these are the type of let's see, type of conversation we have. So if you have Orin Claf ready, Andrew or Adam, let me know. Oh, if he's ready. Okay, no, I'll keep going I think he's just getting on. So this is the analogy my dad gave me. And I want to explain a few things as we get into this conversation. He goes, watch the game they're playing, not what they're saying. For example, you have, this is the example, the dumb waiter analogy. Imagine we all work at a restaurant, Bridger's there and you're there and we all do the change. Like, so I get dollars, I do the change. And everyone knows Bridger's bad at math. I'm dumb at math. So people come, look, Bridger, man, you're such an idiot at math. You're so dumb. I'm always messing up the change, right? Oh, sorry, I always mess up the change. And we all know Bridger's just bad at math. But then you do an audit on my recent transactions. Now, statistically, 50% of the change should be in favor of the customer and 50% should be in favor of me, correct? But you do an audit. The last 96 transactions are in favor of me. The last 4 transactions are in favor of the customer. Who's the idiot? Is Bridger the idiot? Or are you the idiots for believing that Bridger was the idiot? I believe the same thing could be happening with the US dollar. I know Jerome Powell, Biden, Trump, they all sound like idiots on the TV, but watch the game they are playing. So for example, Biden gets into office. This is 2021, 2022. Saudi Arabia considers getting off the US dollar. They're talking in China saying, we're going to use yen, we're going to use rubles. And so what does Biden do? Biden shuts off the Keystone Pipeline. And everyone says gas prices are going to go up, which is exactly what happened. Gas prices rose like crazy. And people like Americans are like, why are we doing this? This is so dumb. The Keystone Pipeline was going to give us sustainable oil from Alberta down through North America. We're energy independent. Why would we do this? President Biden hops on a plane and flies out to Saudi Arabia. Now, I do not know the conversation that was had, but evidently what happened after, Saudi Arabia said, well, we're going to stay with the US dollar. Now, if I was President Biden, I'm stripping off here. I'm getting heated. If I was in that conversation, what I would have said is this. Hey, Mr. Saudi Arabia, I know you guys want to use different currencies, but how am I going to justify to Congress housing 5,000 troops on Saudi Arabia to protect your borders? Additionally, how am I going to have 2 aircraft carriers that protect your shipping lanes? If you're not going to use our currency, it'd be a real shame if Iran or someone else attacked you and no one else was protecting you. Now, I don't know and hey, we also cut off our pipeline and we are going to be big buyers from you in Saudi Arabia. And we are going to, we're now customers of yours. Now, I don't know what the conversation had, but evidently Saudi Arabia said, we are going to stay with the US dollars. Now, let me pause for a second on aircraft carriers and a Navy. Having a Navy is a luxury. After World War II, the Bretton Woods Agreement, we said we will police the world. We will protect shipping lanes as long as people will use the US dollar. And so since then, we have paid for a Navy. A Navy is a luxury. We currently have 11 super carriers, which are super aircraft carriers. Okay. The combined world power, if we went to war, they have about 3. The United States has 11 super carriers. One super carrier has 2 nuclear power plants on it. It can travel for about 100 years without porting. Okay. These things are like mega ships. I mean, they are insane. And so, and by the way, one aircraft carrier by itself, let me give you another statement, has this, it would, if it ranked as far as air forces, it would be the 3rd most powerful air force in the world, ranked by country. So the United States Air Force would be number 1. China would be number 2. One aircraft carrier would be the 3rd most powerful air force in the world. It's a big deal when we park an aircraft carrier somewhere. So you just saw recently, we just parked our brand new Ford class carrier off of Israel. That's a big deal. So let me take you back. So again, this is 2022. President Biden flies out to Saudi Arabia, meets with Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. In the same month, India is considering getting off the US dollar. Their currency does a flash crash. It looked like a meme coin. Their currency goes way down, whoop, and then comes back up. Okay. China is trying to get off the US dollar. And so now, again, I'm summarizing this. We got Orin Claf coming on in just a few minutes, but I want to summarize this. Again, watch what they're doing, not what they're saying. If you wanted to put the squeeze on China, what would you do? China is sitting there in 2022. They're saying, hey, we have $1 trillion of treasury. We are going to sell those T-bills. We're going to sell them. We're getting off the US dollar. We're going to start selling. Okay. And China that's their plan. So if you're the US, what would you do? Well, you would want to hike rates at the fastest rate in history. But you can't just do that. You can't just go hike rates, because if you hike rates, people like me and you are going to protest. Hey, you can't hike rates. Like that's going to hurt our economy. So what do you have to do? You have to print a lot of money and say, oh, inflation is transitory. Oh, inflation's transitory. It's transitory. It's transitory. Inflation's transitory. Don't worry about inflation. It's all transitory. And then you go, oh crap. And the American public is begging, please raise rates, please. And they go, fine. Okay. Oh crap. We're going to raise rates at the fastest rate in history. And we're going to go pretty much from 0 to 5.25%. What happens? It devalues bonds by over 50%. This is what took down Silicon Valley Bank. They held bonds. Their bonds lost 50 to 60% of value essentially overnight. This squeezes China's economy. I know it hurts the US economy, but it squeezes China's economy like crazy. What is happening right now? China was slow to open after COVID. Foxconn has now left. Huge manufacturers have left. We passed, and then this is August 2022, we passed the CHIPS Act. We put 3 aircraft carriers to protect Taiwan. Again, remember, aircraft carriers are a big deal. We protect Taiwan. China said, we're going to back off from Taiwan. President Biden says, we will defend Taiwan at all costs. We then passed the CHIPS Act. We onshore chips. Right now, chip fab facilities are coming online very soon. I was just in Arizona. I saw it's 1,000-acre mega facility that's going on in Arizona right now. I mean, it's massive. Okay. China, once they've opened after COVID, they've had the squeeze. Manufacturers are not going back to China. Goldman Sachs just put out a report. Every single public developer that they can find that does real estate in China is currently in default. Every single one of them. China is going through what many are calling a Great Depression right now. The US has squeezed China like crazy. Now, during that time period, what if I told you that the dollar is up 13% over the last 3 years? A lot of you call me crazy. Guess what? There's an action index that tracks this. I'm going to share my screen. Then we got Orin Claf in the background. We're going to bring him on live in just 1 second. Boom. There it is. The dollar index, DXY. Now, this compares the dollar to other currencies. What I'm saying is this. I know the dollar's bad, but compared to what? Okay. Compared to what? The DXY compares it to what? If you go back 3 years, look at this. The dollar is up. Let me go to percentage points here. The dollar is up. Oh, it's not letting me click. Roughly 13% in the last 3 years. Now, I know a lot of people, I'm giving you the math. Again, I know what they say sounds dumb, but watch what they are doing. They're playing a pretty brilliant game right now on the world stage. And I could go on and on. We blew up 2 pipelines, the Nord Stream pipeline, the national debt. I know the national debt's $36 trillion. And that's a lot. I get it. Now I don't love that, but if it was at zero, I think I would be also very concerned if it was at zero. When you're the world reserve currency, you want other countries to have debt denominated in your currency. Because guess what? The debt is not denominated in yen. It's not denominated in euros. It's not in bitcoins. It's not in bushels of wheat. It's denominated in US dollars. So if our currency crashes, United States, the entire world essentially loses $36 trillion of value. You want other countries to have as much debt as possible denominated in your currency. Now, is 36 trillion a lot? Yes, it is. And it's growing, and we are approaching a fiscal cliff, and I get that. But if it was at zero, I would also be very concerned. Okay. That's a little bit of a teaser for dollars going to big. My dad's going to give a full hour talk on this. Again, portfolio manager of a $28 billion family as the funds. When he retired, their funds are now $48 billion, co-founder. He's going to be talking about this for an hour on stage, day one of the event. Make sure to show up on time. It's happening right then. All right. With that, we are ready for Orin Claf. Let's bring him on live. So let me give you a little intro for Orin. Orin, again, I talked about earlier. I would consider the best teacher on capital raising on earth. His books, Flip the Script and Pitch Anything, have transformed how I have gone out and raised capital. He's absolutely insane. And I, for years, actually wanted to have him come to Fund Launch Live. We finally nailed him down this year to come to the event. He's been phenomenal. He's, and you're going to love him. He needs no further intro, but he has raised hundreds of millions of dollars throughout his career, has done an incredible job, and more importantly, is very good at building frameworks and teaching us, and it's digestible for people like me and you. So with that, let's bring to the stage. Welcome to the stage. Drop some emojis in the chat. Welcome Orin Claf to the stage. Orin, good to have you on here. How you doing?
Hey, great. Thanks, Bridger. How's it going today? I'm gonna now. You made me interested in buying an aircraft carrier. Oh, can you hear me?
There you are. I can hear you on my screen. Can you fix that for me? There you are, Orin. How you doing?
All right, good. You can hear me good now?
Yes, I can hear you good. So welcome on. Good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. You got me interested. I was buying a helicopter, but now you got me interested in buying a aircraft carrier.
There you go. We got to go patrol the seas together. So Orin, I know you're busy. You're running around today. Give us a little teaser of why people should come listen to you next week at Fund Launch Live.
Yeah, I think so. We're going to Fund Launch Live is going to cover a lot of things, like what rooms to get into, how to get in those rooms, what to have in those rooms, which is stuff, I love all those topics, but where I really want to bring the thunder and get people dialed in is in closing. This is where, we were just on a sales call here with the Morning Brew. We had a $300,000 check sitting there. All they had to do was cover that last couple millimeters and get it out of our hand, right? And they just couldn't close. So if you think about this, right? They have a brand. They got us. They found us. They got us in the room. They moved us along. Couldn't close. And so I think a lot of people think about closing, sort of Zig Ziglar's 99 ways to close. When I talk to people, right, they always want like, hey, what's that pickup line for closing, right? The equivalent of like, closing. What's the line to close? And so the closing really start way back in the beginning, right? That's why it's so frustrating, I feel like, for everybody I'm working with to close, because they're closing at the wrong time. The setup for the close happens at the beginning. So we got to go what that setup is. I queued up a slide here for you guys. Here, if you want to just hold that quickly. So you'll lose audio, but this you can see. So that's one of the big keys to closing, is raising the stakes. Very hard to raise the stakes and at the very end of the meeting. So the way I think about it is, we can just tune in, like, what happens at the end of a meeting, or the end of an interaction. If you're at a conference, you're talking to someone, that meeting might be 8 minutes, right? If you're in their conference room, meeting might be an hour. If it's on a Zoom, might be half an hour. But what happens at the end is, like, people are fatigued, they have the information, they want to leave. And so unless they feel like they're going to lose you, and they're going to potentially lose access to you, right? Then they're not going to help you close. The best closes that we have around here, people leave and then they come back in, right? And I go, wait, hey, what are you doing? The meeting ended. Why are you back in here? Oh, I ran out to my car. I knew I had my checkbook in it. I just want to give you guys a check to make sure I don't lose my position. So closing is like the reason it's such a mysterious item to people is you can't start closing when you think you should be closing. The closing work happens somewhere else, and that moment can just fly by you, especially when we're talking about raising a fund, right? Because the big thing about raising a fund is there's no value proposition. Like people don't have to, you and I talk about all the time, right? People don't have to put the money out, right? So they have to be attracted to it. It's cat string theory all over again. Like,
I love what you just shared. And by the way, if you can turn your phone sideways, that'd be awesome. That would
sure.
help us see a little bit better if it'll orient. Maybe it won't. Maybe it will. We'll see. But the question I want to ask you, Orin, is you mentioned the closing happens at the beginning. I guess your phone's not turning. Maybe just go back to where it was. But closing, people always want this magic phrase at the end of something that's going to close the deal. The closing starts the moment you send the first email or start saying hello. And this whole frame control that you talk about throughout. Can you give us just a quick walkthrough? I know you're going to have a full hour and a half to walk through everything on stage at Fun Launch Live, but walk us through this very quickly so people get an idea of what you're talking about.
So very quickly, 5 and 5 and 7, 7 close, 7 frame close, and then you drop it in. So that's, but I'll slow that down a little bit. So what happens is energetically, you get on a sales call with somebody you believe has money, and therefore you ascribe them power. And so you believe because they have the money and you need the money that they have a stronger power frame than you. And then what happens is you get absorbed into the things that they want to talk about. You get absorbed into the issues that they have, right? Well, I don't know about Texas. And then you start to defend Texas. I don't know about the economy, right? And then you're starting to explain to somebody who has 62 years old, a PhD in finance and a minor in economics about the economy. So you get pulled into the things that they want to talk about in which you are a non-expert. And so this is where closing goes away. This is why the framing or the setup happens at the beginning, because these are the things we're going to talk about. This is the way we're going to run this conversation. This is how things are going to go, right? If you're not happy with that, right, well, then let's blow you out early so I'm not wasting my time. Now, of course, you would never say that to somebody managing $1 billion fund, a $100 million fund, a $10 million fund. But there are ways to communicate that and sub-communicate that. Like, hey, here's our agenda, right? And so that's what we're going to go over, is how to set the agenda, how to set the frame, and how to set the topics. Because if you don't do that, you're going to get subsumed and sucked into the things that they're concerned about, in which you do not have credibility, knowledge, experience. I don't. It's not you. A lot of you guys here are 20 years younger than me, right? If I get sucked into some CFO's topics of how he understands the economy, I don't understand the economy that well. And I listen to macro voices. I read, Bloomberg. I read, Seeking Alpha every day, right? And so I'm probably more, knowledged up than a lot of people on what's happening with the economy, what's happening with Bitcoin, where gold is going, why there's, Jamie Dimon today, announced there's not enough public companies, why companies aren't going public, what private equity is doing, what are the actual ratios private equity will pay, what kind of check size they're writing. And I can't get sucked into a CFO frame because I'll lose. So the big thing about frame control, and we talk about all the time here, their issues are their issues, right? Our issues are our issues. If they get pulled into our issues, we can close. If we get pulled into their issues, we cannot close. So those are the issues or the problems. What we're going to talk about at Fun Launch is how to solve those problems.
I love it. Orin Claf, everybody. We're going to have a great time next week hanging out. Go grab his books, pitch anything, and flip the script. I'm not just saying this. I've read these books multiple times. I use them when I present. I use them when I think through a pitch. Orin, you're an incredible human. I'm so excited to meet you. We've never met in person. We've talked on Zoom like 50 times. So I'm excited to shake your hand, meet you in person next week. We're like 9 days away. So thank you again, Orin. I think those are the best places to send people, right? Buy your books. Is that the best spot?
Yeah, that's the best place to start. And then after that, I'm everywhere. Once you buy the book, then you're like, oh my God, how do I how do I get rid of Orin Claf? But you start with the book. I think that the big thing is if, the thing we're going to get into at Fund Launch is how, so you have a million uncomfort zones. I do. Bridger does, right? So what'll happen is when Bridger and I get in the same room, we're going to be trying to suck each other into the other person's uncomfort zone. I'm going to be trying to pull him into somewhere that I'm super comfortable and he's not knowledgeable. You'll watch. Like, if you want to have fun, come watch when Bridger and I meet. That is going to be like frame wars, right? So I'm going to try and pull him into, by the way, so
Hey, I'm happy. Pull me in, bro. Let's talk about whatever. I'll just
right,
go. I'll just go with the wind.
I'm
going to hear that.
Pull him in, right? Because for those of you who do jujitsu, which I don't, right? It's the same thing. Like, you want the other person unbalanced and walking backwards. You can push them over anytime when you can control the ring when the other person is off balance. When you're talking to some CFO, or chief investment officer about your fund, and they're in some kind of like sumo wrestler, lockdown, immovable position, in their best stance that they train all the time in the gym, and you can't move them at all. How are you going to win that grapple? So there's a million ways to look at this, but I think, and then once you get the experience of doing these frame wars, then it becomes fun. So that's what we want to get into.
I love it. Well, Orin's going to teach us how to do all that next week. So grab your tickets, go buy Orin's book. Thank you, Orin, for coming on today. We will see you in person next week. Thank you, brother.
Okay. We'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
See ya. Bye-bye. So again, if you want to come hear Orin, we are going to be live next week. I'll share, let's just share my screen real quick. And then we got Ben coming on live in about he's in backstage already. We'll bring him on in about 30 seconds. So Ben, get ready. We're bringing you on live in just a second. If you guys can fix those speakers back there so I can hear Ben this way, that'd be great. So again, here's the event right here. We are 98.6% sold out. We'll see if this is updated maybe. Oh, look at that. 99.3% sold out. We are right there at the sellout level. We've sold out the last two events. We are, it looks like we're 0.7% away from selling this out this year. Rooms are almost booked out, by the way. So make sure to grab your rooms to be on site with us for Fund Launch Live next week. We are 9 days away to be in Orlando, Florida. It should be pretty fun. All right. So grab those tickets. Let's bring, let me introduce Ben for 1 second, and then we'll bring him on. Does that sound good? I think we got Ben. Yeah, it looks like he's ready backstage. Okay, so, and Ben Reinberg, if you scroll down, if you want to learn more about these speakers, by the way. So if you come down on here, we got Orin Claf. You can actually click on his face and see a little bit more about what he's done and done here. Ben Reinberg, let's scroll down and find Ben. Here he is. So, has $500 million in his fund, AUM. And here's his kind of little bio, but Ben actually, which is cool. So he's done a lot through his, I'm very excited for him to come on and talk extensively around capital raising specifically, in a different piece than Orin is doing kind of before Orin. But Ben, he's been in our group before. We've talked, we've hung out, he's been a part of our community in the fund launch world for a long time. He's one of us, one of y'all. And this year now, Ben has done incredible things the last few years to build his funds, his portfolios. And we're excited to now have him speak on stage and share and give back some of the information that he has gained over the last few years building out his own stuff. So with that, if you guys can give a huge round of applause to Mr. Ben Reinberg. Drop it in the chat for me. Give me an emoji. Ben, feel free to come on live and say hello to everybody. Come on stage. Welcome in, Ben. Good to see you guys. Drop some emojis in the chat for me if you can. Ben, how we doing today?
Good. How you doing, Bridger? I just want to thank my good friend Orin Claf for warming me up like he should. So I'm very grateful. I'm traveling today. I'm in Arizona filming my new TV show, and I just want to thank Orin for providing that introduction, really warming up this audience.
Well, yeah, Orin's always he's always a good intro for you, right? Like he's going to tee everybody up and then you come on to close. Yeah, I love it.
That's right. So, I love him. That's
well, Ben,
why
tell us about your TV show really quick that you're doing. Tell us, give us 30 seconds on just your life right now, what you're doing, and then we'll get into what you're going to talk about on stage.
Yeah, just really quickly, because I want to add value to everyone on the call. We just launched a new TV show. It's a spinoff of my podcast, Ben Reinberg. I own it. The first season is about leverage. This show has never been done before in the history of the world, where we're actually going to be educating people intermittently within the show of the content that's being provided. Never been done. Stay tuned. It's going to be coming out. It's going to be streaming on 1,400 different networks around the world. We're very excited about it. So stay tuned about that. But let's talk about Fun Launch Live, because that's what we're here
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. So what are you gonna share with us? And by the way, congrats on TV show. I'm excited to
you.
see it. So walk us through what you're gonna talk about. We're gonna share what nuggets people are gonna
Sure.
take away from your talk.
Well, everything I talk about is about you, the audience. That's what I'm focusing on. We're going to talk about the one thing that's more powerful than money that you're going to need to know as you grow within your career, whether you're launching a fund, whether you're raising equity, you're looking at deals, and that could be any industry, Bridger, that you're a part of. I'm going to teach you the one thing that's more powerful than money. And we're going to show you, I'm going to personally show you how to get into the right room. And when you get into the right room, I'm going to give you the skills to take you down the path. So when you do have to close, just like Orin mentioned, it's going to be easy for you to close. So I am going to set the table for you to create success. And stay tuned for my presentation. The other thing we're going to do for you, which we don't normally do, is I am going to give you a free gift if you attend Fun Launch Live that is worth millions of dollars, that I've spent months preparing specifically for you. So we're going to teach you, I'm specifically going to be there to teach you how to get in the right room, how to use the right techniques to get into the right room, and then what do you do when you're in the right room to set you up for a very powerful close, but also a long-term meaningful relationship with the party that you're looking to meet.
I love it. Oh, well, I'm excited. This is going to be fun, Ben. We got a bunch of good teasers. So, and I know specifically you're going to be speaking on raising capital, finding investors, getting in the, like converting the room, warming, like getting people to the point where Orin's going to talk about closing them. I know throughout your career, you've done a lot of that. You guys have, and currently on this website, we have 500 million. Is that correct? Or is it more than that?
That's just medical properties.
That's just medical properties. Okay.
We have such a large niche in medical properties, one of the leader in the United States between medical and veterinary properties, that we really promote that number. Now, when people really know who I am, I'm an office, industrial, and retail expert. And we are just about to launch a new division in multifamily, which is very exciting to get into that space. We saw Blackstone, just a good friend of mine at Blackstone, they just bought $10 billion REIT. We're also getting into the space. We think it's going to be exciting times for multifamily. And so for us, we're office, industrial, and retail experts. So your audience knows I've built over 10 million square feet of office and industrial. I'm originally from Chicago. That's where my headquarters is currently. And so that's my background as office and industrial and retail. We spun into medical office about 20 years ago out of my 30-year career.
Well, in my understanding, and I did a bunch of research on this, medical office is you have some of the best tenants on earth. The default rates of, I think it's dentists. When I at least did the research, dentist was like 99.8% like payment rate, like a 0.2% default. And then orthopedic surgeons were next. And then the next, they kind of trickled down. Just give us one more second on what specifically do you guys get into with medical office?
Well, anything that you and your family, okay, now you have young kids, so you can really appreciate this. I have 3 kids, they're older. Anything you and your family would go utilize, that's
okay.
what we own. It's such a broad spectrum. So it could be orthopedic, gastro, OBGYN. We own hospitals, micro hospitals, a lot of different surgery centers, emergency rooms, dialysis, which is what launched us into the medical office space. So anything that you and your family own is what we own. And then it's spun off into veterinarian, because a friend of mine said, you really should be in this business. So about 9 years ago, we got into the veterinarian space. And so with one of our funds, that's what we do, is we buy medical as well as office. We have industrial and other types of office, as well as retail. So that's really our focus.
It. Well, Ben, we're excited to hear you on stage next week. We're excited to have you in Orlando. It should be pretty fun. Yep. So if you guys can give Ben a huge thank you in the chat, we're excited to see you next week, Ben. Thank you so much, man. We're excited to see you.
Yeah, it was good seeing you, and look forward to seeing all you next week.
Yep. See you next week. Thanks, Ben. Good luck on your TV show. See you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Ben is awesome, man. It's fun having him on. Okay. We're going to keep this show rolling. We got Adam Campbell up next. He looks like he's in the backstage. So we'll bring Adam on in 1 second here. So Adam, get ready. And I'll share this again. So we've got Fund Launch Live tickets. If you want to come here from Ben and Orin, now Adam coming on in just a few minutes. Come on here to funlaunchlive.com. We are, this keeps updating. I don't want to refresh. It might keep moving. 99.3% sold out for the event. Rooms are just about sold out. The last night, the 20th to the 21st is already sold out, but you guys can still get rooms from the 17th to the 20th. I would highly recommend being on site at the Hyatt. There's so much intangibles. We're going to do late night networking sessions, cocktail hours, all happening on site. You're going to want to be at the Hyatt. So if you can get a room, click on here. I think rooms are still available. If you click on here, come grab a room. It looks like they're still available. So we got queens and kings and a pool view. Yeah, we still got rooms available, which is good. They added some more last couple days. So go click here, grab a few more spots, and it should be pretty fun for next week. All right, our next speaker we're going to bring on for a minute is Adam Campbell. So let me give you a little background on Adam. So Adam has worked at a number of major funds. Actually was one of the first employees at my dad's fund. He worked at a huge family office. So he actually worked on both a real estate private equity firm and then also in a family office. He was helping run the entire family's portfolio, and now has actually dovetailed out and actually is working and is co-founder on our GP Stakes fund that we just launched for Fund Launch Partners. So Fund Launch Partners is our internal fund that we've launched that's now investing into funds that are coming out of Fund Launch. We've already written 3 checks. We're raising $50 million right now, and which is pretty fun. So we've got Adam Campbell coming to the stage. So with that, give a huge round of applause to Mr. Adam Campbell. Bring him to the stage, everybody. Drop an emoji in the chat. Say hello. And Adam, welcome to the stage. Adam's going to be specifically talking about risk control return, this framework. So, and I'll tee this up, Adam, and then you can take it away.
Mm-hmm.
When you're building a fund, so we're coming to Fund Launch Live, you're excited, I want to build a fund. How do I know if it's going to be good? How do I know if there is asymmetrical risk? We can explain that here in a second, but how do we know if I have relatively low risk for high return? How do I know if this is good or bad on the very first stages of a fund? And Adam attended Harvard, has a full background in doing Excel and all. He's been a black card coach for a long time for us, been incredible now on Fund Launch Partners. So Adam's going to be talking us through a framework on how do you determine if you actually have a good fund. So Adam, with that, welcome on. Hopefully I teed that up all right, but good to have you here.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited to catch all you guys out there. And like Bridger said, I've been involved in private equity funds for almost 15 years, working with billions of dollars of transactions and processing through tons of stuff on the back office admin. And there's some patterns that I've seen over the years that we're wanting to share with you guys out there and give you the right framework. And as Bridger was talking about it, one of the biggest things that we see is most people's brains are programmed to win as an investor, that you're looking at risk, you're looking at returning, you're trying to figure out how to deal with that. Well, that's great for the investors who have no control over what they're doing. They just hand the money to somebody and be like, please make me a big pile of cash. But that's not you guys. You're not coming to Fund Launch to look at it and be an investor. You're coming to Fund Launch to be an investment manager. And that's why we're going to give you some of the secrets and help you understand the risk and the return. Those are part of it for a good investor. But you've got a control element that we've got to figure out. And most of you guys have been taught your whole life how to play the battleground of investor, not investment manager. And we're going to put a bit of time into that this week or next week to be able to kind of teach you what are the rules of engagement, how do you win, and how do you identify that in short order so you can present your case in few words as possible.
I love it. And yeah, so Adam's going to help us figure all that out. And then Orin and Ben later on will share how to present that data. And what happens is when, frankly, this is what Orin will talk about. You can try to sell anything, but it's a lot easier to sell when you have a really good product. It makes sales and marketing really, really easy. The more you have to spend on sales and marketing, that means the worse of a product you have. And so if you can, Adam's going to talk about building a great investment product, which I'm so excited about. Adam, so I think we've already given some teasers what people should look forward to. Any, homework someone should do maybe in preparation before your talk to maybe come with an idea or come with something? What would you say?
Yeah, so there's a couple things you guys got to do. One of them, I always recommend to everybody before you jump into it, go through your current investment portfolio and see if you can tell your own story. Like, do you know yourself? Do you know what you invest in? Can you classify yourself? If somebody looked at it and said, I want to know who you are as an investor just by your investments, what would they read from you? Because if you have an investment type, an investment portfolio, if you've got a couple of things that are always unique, it helps you identify yourself. And now you're going to be flipping the table and saying, as an investment manager, how do I want to label myself so that other investors who are trying to fit that, you've got kind of a matching pair. And then we're going to go through some, it's a 4-step process. We're going to give you some, a couple of things to help remember it, to look at it and say, what is it that you want to build as your control element, your alpha, what you give to the market that nobody else can give you, or that can give them. But how do you take all that stuff and put it into a simple process so when somebody looks at you, they go, oh, I know that guy. He's the guy that has this, that, he does this, and here's how I can explain it to my friends. And once you get into that mode, so people look at it and they know you as an avatar, as a portfolio allocation, they can look at it and know you're that guy that does X. And that X makes them good money. They have a great experience. The returns are phenomenal. And they've got a chance to be able to engage on multiple levels, not just a write you a check and be done, but how do you consistently get them engaged? And if you look at it, that's way beyond the traditional risk and return profile that you're used to. You're not engaging with most of your investments. You're just writing a check. Like, when was the last time your savings account at the local credit union actually gave you an engaging experience? It never has. They never do. That's not their shtick. But you guys need to have that. So we're going to teach you how you control it, how you manage the risk and return, because they're going to look for it, and what you need to do to identify yourself with those 4 steps so that you can give a good investment thesis that people know you for and that they can be able to be engaged with.
I love it. That's some good homework to bring, Adam. Very concise as well. Good job putting that together. I love it. And then throughout, and Adam speaking day 1, the purpose of that is you're going to build these ideas that then day 2 or day 3, you can dovetail and start building out your thesis. Like at the beginning, I talked about how we're going to have this event is going to flow from one speaker to the next, where you're going to build over 3 days your investment strategy and thesis, and maybe even pitch deck all together, where you have a very good product by the end of the 3 days that you feel confident moving forward with. Again, we're not going to solve the world's problems in 3 days, but we're going to give a very good detailed outline for you and especially your team. I would highly recommend, I've done this in the past, is bringing not just yourself, but a lot of times bringing your spouse or team with you so that they can be on board as well and catch the vision of what you're doing and listen to people like Adam or Orin or Ben and be like, oh, that now it makes sense, right? And obviously Adam, I'm so excited to have Adam speak, and this is gonna be really fun. And me and Adam work together every week now on Fund Launch Partners together. And Adam's an incredible dude, by the way. You guys are learning from one of the best here. And I'm so excited to have him speak. So any last words, Adam, before we part?
Yeah, I think if I could summarize everything that we're going to go through, like on that first day, one of my favorite quotes is from Sun Tzu in the Art of War. And he says, victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. And I think one of the biggest things that you guys are going to find, there might be other things. You can be an entrepreneur, you can be a franchisor, you can be, get a great career. But in the investment management world, you've got to relearn the rules of the game. Because if you're going to consider yourself a winner, you have to know by what metric they win. And what things like the IRRs, like the multiples on invested capital, like the investors coming through, like communication. They're all things that they don't really have a parallel anywhere else in the world. They're a unique skill set. They're a unique avatar that you have to have. They're unique characteristics. And they really don't teach this in your bachelors of economics or finance at the universities. So coming to Fund Launch, understanding what are those rules that you can win by. So before you go off to war and start trying to battle it out with the other emerging managers or investment managers, you got to know how you can win first and then go out and do it. And that's what we're going to teach you in the coming weeks.
I love it, Adam. Thank you so much, brother. Again, tickets are for sale. We are 90. What is that right up there? It's a little blurry for me. 99.5% sold out. It keeps going up here as we move on. So we are about to be sold out. We'll probably be sold out here by at least probably tonight or the next few hours. So grab your tickets. Come right here, hit get tickets. You guys, we have, I think VIP might be sold out. There might be a couple more available, but go here to get tickets. You guys can join right there and come hang out at fundlaunchlive.com. Again, the room block is here. Rooms are still available for those nights. And go grab those. I would highly recommend at least staying, Thursday or Wednesday through Saturday. I think Saturday night is sold out, but stay through Saturday. There's so much benefit on being on site. I can't stress that enough. There is so much benefit about being in person with us. Adam's going to be like, we're all of the speakers. Everyone is staying on site. We're all there. So you'll be able to see us in the hallways at night, at the bar, wherever, hanging out, and talking. So with that, Adam, thank you so much. We'll see you next week, Adam.
Here. See you guys soon.
See ya. All right, so we just had Ben, Adam, and Orin. As you can tell, we got those were kind of quick teasers, but some very sharp people come to speak. Final call before we wrap up. We got, and this is just a taste of what you're going to get. So back down below, we got Steve Eisman from The Big Short talking and we're actually going to do crowd Q&A with him. So come ready with questions to ask, Mark Baum or Steve Eisman from The Big Short about his career, his portfolio, all the stuff he's looking at. He's a very volatile character. It's very fun. We actually had a phone call. He's super funny, witty. He'll be really fun with the crowd interaction. That's just stuff you can only do in person. We got Todd Buckholtz, my dad, John Page, and Orin Claf all come to speak. Cody Sanchez, Peter Zihan, Neil Bawa. I mean, incredible people. We talked about at the beginning. You can come read some of their bios, but incredible people. Again, Fund Launch Live is designed, I'll say this again, for people across the board, not just people who run $30 billion portfolios. We could find those people. And that's what most conferences do. They just get the biggest people they can find, which is great. But also it's cool to talk to somebody that just launched their fund last year and they've raised 10 million. And they're sharing the steps that are working right now in 2024 to raise capital and what is working today, not what worked 10 years or 15 years ago, like some of the speakers talked about. So we have a full breadth of knowledge across this board to, again, it's designed a way over 3 days to help you figure out your thesis, build what you're going to do around your fund, have a go-to-market strategy, and then launch and scale your fund. That's why it's called Fund Launch Live. So with that, you all are amazing. I'm so excited to see y'all next week. We are literally 9 days away. We are about to sell out. We're sending the truck from our office in just a day or two. I mean, we are heading out to Florida in just a few days to get ready for all of you next week. We got the stage design back. Actually, do you guys want to see the stage design? Can I share it with you guys? We just got this back. It's freaking cool. And actually, maybe Andy, can you send it to me right now on Slack? I want to make sure I have it, Andy or Adam. Do you guys want to see it? I think it's so freaking cool. Ooh, that's good. I'm gonna give you a little behind the scenes, behind the curtain of what we're planning for next week. Thank you, Kent. Yeah, Fun Launch Live was my favorite event last year. Excited to see everyone this year. Yeah, it's a little bit too like a family reunion. When we get our community back together, it's fun to get everyone in one spot, talk, share, be in one place. It's pretty exciting. So let me sorry, I'm putting Andy on the spot. Andy or Adam, if you guys can send that to me right now. Oh, here it is. I just got it. Ta-da. Okay, let me open it up. Let me download it. This is pretty cool. So this is, again, a rendering, but this is how the stage is going to look next week. So this is, since you guys came to the webinar, you've been here the whole time, I'm going to show us a little behind the scenes. So if you guys remember last year's stage, it was pretty cool. We had, I don't know, 50 feet of LED walls, and you've seen some of the pictures. Let me share my screen here. You guys ready? Yeah. Okay, drum roll, please. Hopefully I'll get to be, yeah. And by the way, somebody just asked, I want to present the next year. That's the plan, actually. When people come to Fun Launch Live, we actually look for people that have really unique stories, that are launching and doing big things. And we want them to speak next year. We have a number of speakers that are speaking this year that were in your seats last year. They were just sitting, they were just attendees watching. They went out, they launched their fund, they did big things, and like, hey, do you want to come speak and share your story over the last 12 months? It's very, I think it's great to show people that are just a few steps ahead. Maybe it's 6 months or a year ahead. And some people that are 20 years ahead, it's good to have both. So I actually want some of you guys to speak next year. All right. Okay, you guys ready for the share? Let me share my screen here. Let me go back. All right, this is what the stage is going to look like. Ta-da! Here we go. Let's see if it works. Oh, there it comes. It's loading barely. Can you guys see that okay? It's a little blurry on this screen. Let's see. There it goes. It's coming through. Okay, how cool is this, dude? So we've got a freaking light up bowl in the back and these cool arrows. So these are all like separated panels. And then this is the whole stage is about 200 feet long. I mean, this is massive. We are going all out. We got lights, fireworks, it's going to be, and we like, as you guys know, when you come to events, we like to have a lot of energy, a lot of fun. We play loud music. Like we want to keep the energy high in the event, and it's pretty fun. So, and by the way, we'll have a full VIP room over here on the right. You guys will be just for VIP rooms and all that kind of stuff. Isn't that kind of cool? I'm so excited to see it in person. I had to give you guys a sneak peek since you're here, you're live on the webinar for today. It's going to be pretty cool. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty fun. That's just the rendering. I'm excited to see it. Last year, the rendering was cool. And then we saw it in person. And it was actually way better in person. So we'll see. Hopefully the truck doesn't crash on the way out there to get everything set up. So again, final call. If you want to come, if you haven't got tickets yet, go to funlaunchlive.com. We are just about to be sold out. We have sold out the last 2 years. Go grab your tickets, book rooms as well. This is almost even more pressing is the room block. Make sure to get your room. So I would go book whatever room you want to book. They're pretty reasonable per night. There's a lot of benefit of being on site. This is it's not like a hotel. This is like a mega city resort. It's one of those, it's huge. So make sure to grab your room. If you only can stay there from the 20th, that's okay. You can just check out in the morning and still attend the event in the afternoon, and then just they can hold your bags at the desk, and then fly out that night. Because I believe the 21st is sold out, but you can stay till the event ends on Saturday. So you can stay till Saturday. So right there, Wednesday, April 17th through Saturday the 20th, I would still, it's well worth booking your rooms for these nights here. Okay, there we are. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for coming. We're excited you guys are coming out. People that are coming, it's going to be a fun time. I'll see you guys next week with that. Thank you all for coming today. Y'all are amazing. We'll end here.